The confusion you feel in relationships, it is not because you are broken. It is because you have been lied to. So today, I'm exposing the 7 myths that are destroying your relationships. Let's dive in. Myth number 1. Love means losing yourself. One of the most biggest lies we have been told about love is that love requires you to shrink, to sacrifice your identity, your boundaries, your dreams, your opinions, as if proving being in love means slowly disappearing into someone else's life. But when you lose yourself to keep a relationship, what you build is not a connection. It is resentment, it is emotional dependence, it is trauma bonding. And eventually, you wake up one day wondering, who am I outside this person? Healthy love doesn't erase you, healthy love amplifies you. And we have seen that play even in the lives of celebrities. Let's take Adele, for example. She shared in multiple interviews about her past relationship and how she lost herself trying to be what her partner needed. And she stopped choosing herself first. Even though the relationship looked beautiful from the outside, she felt disconnected from the inside. And after her divorce, she talked about rebuilding herself, rediscovering her voice, her identity, her boundaries. So here's what I want you to know. If love requires you to abandon yourself, that is not love. That is attachment. And the problem is that many of us were taught that good partners always compromise, always adjust, always accommodate. But there is difference between compromise and self-erasure. When you compromise, you say, I consider you. But when you self-erase, you say, I will disappear for you and put you first and me second. And that is where the myth lives. Because real love never asks you to become less. It encourages you to be more, to grow with someone who celebrates your growth, not fear it. So if you ever felt that you needed to silence parts of yourself to keep someone, that is not love demanding sacrifice. That is love demanding a boundary. And the moment you stop losing yourself is the moment that you start connecting truly. Myth number 2. If they loved you, they will just know. This myth is everywhere, in songs, in movies, in novels. A romantic quote that says something like, if they really loved you, they will understand you without you saying a word. That sounds beautiful, but in real life, that is one of the fastest ways to destroy a relationship. Because expecting someone to read your mind, that sets both of you for disappointment. You feel unheard while they feel confused. And then both of you are hurt over something that wasn't even clearly said. Silence doesn't create closeness, it creates stories. And most of these stories we create in silence are wrong. They don't care about me. They don't love me. If they did, they would have known. If I have to explain, that is not real love. But the truth is, love is not telepathy. Love is communication. Remember that your partner grew up in a different family with different love languages, with different definition of care, with different expectations. So it doesn't make sense for you to keep silent and expect them to understand what goes in your mind. Communication is not aromantic. Communication is actually one of the deepest forms of intimacy. For example, saying, I feel overwhelmed when, I need reassurance when. It would mean a lot if you speaking up your mind and telling your partner what you need. It is actually emotional maturity because silence breeds assumptions and assumptions breed misunderstanding and misunderstanding breeds conflict. But communication builds safety. Safety builds trust. And the trust is what keeps the love alive. So the next time you think, if they really loved me, they would understand me without me saying a word, pause and ask yourself, have I really actually shown them the map into my heart, or am I expecting them to guess the location. And that shift changes everything. Myth number 3. Conflict in relationships means it's not meant to be. Many people believe that if a relationship has argument or disagreement or friction, that must be a sign that the relationship is wrong. And if we truly were meant for each other, we wouldn't fight. It would have been easy. We would always understand each other. But this belief confuses compatibility with perfection. Conflict is not a sign that a relationship is failing. It is a sign that two different human beings with different histories, with different habits and emotional wiring are trying to share a life. And that is never friction free. Think about any relationship you admire. Power couples, strong business partners, lifelong friends. They don't succeed because they never disagree. They succeed because they know how to repair after an argument. And the real measurement of a relationship is not how often we fight, but how do we repair after we fight? Do we listen? Do we take responsibility? Do we apologize sincerely? Do we make space for each other's emotions? Because think about it this way, anyone can stay in a relationship when it's easy. Real intimacy is built when things are uncomfortable, but you still choose to invest in that connection. The myth of good relationships are conflict free is dangerous because it turns normal human disagreement into a breakup sign. And in reality, disagreements or arguments are very important because they are not relationship death but relationship data. They teach you more about your partner, what they like, what they don't, their boundaries, their expectations. All that you learn it from the hard times. So think of argument and conflict as an opportunity for you to learn more about each other and grow closer to each other. Always remember this. Love is not proven in the absence of storms, but in the way we repair after them. Myth number 4, the right person will complete you. One of the most romanticized ideas in modern culture is the belief that somewhere out there is that person that will make you feel whole. That once you meet the one, every insecurity you have will just disappear. Every loneliness will fade. And every wound will magically heal. And this belief is very dangerous because when you believe that someone else is responsible for completing you, you place an impossible weight on their shoulders. So you expect them to fill every emotional gap, soothe every fear, and fix every self-doubt you have. And no human being can carry that weight without collapsing under it. You not have a person waiting for a missing piece to complete you. You are already a whole human being. And relationships work best when two complete human beings decide to share a life, not two wounded people clinging on each other, waiting for the other person to do the work and the healing. So one partner becomes the emotional caretaker and the other one becomes emotionally dependent. And slowly, love turns into obligation. But the truth is, real partnerships are not about rescuing each other. They're about walking side by side and growing together. So they bring their successes, you bring yours. They bring their healing, you bring yours. And you grow together side by side. And that is what creates stability because when you expect someone to complete you, you fear losing them. Not just because of the love, but because you feel like you will fall apart when they are gone. And that is exactly what we call trauma bonding. But when you feel whole on your own, love doesn't become a necessity, it becomes a choice. Let's just take a simple analogy to understand that. So people who feel that they are not complete and they need someone to complete them, they are starving emotionally. Means that they don't fill their own emotional cups, so they are empty. So when someone shows up, even if it's not the right person for them, even when they see red flags, even when that person hurts them, they still stay with that person. Not because they love that person, but because they are emotionally starving and they have no choice. So let's say that you are very hungry and you go to a buffet, but you don't like the food there, but you still eat because you are starving and you have no choice. But when you go and you're full, you can just say that I don't need that. I'm okay. Because you are already full. The same applies to relationships. People who work on filling their emotional cups, they don't need to have all the cups full, but there's something inside. They don't fall for the wrong person because they're not hungry. They will be able to see the red flags. They will say no if you hurt them, and then they will stay back. So always remember this. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You are looking for someone to grow with you and walk with you side by side. Myth number 5. Passion should never fade. In the beginning of every relationship, there is the electric phase, the butterflies, the late night conversations, the rush you feel every time the phone lights up. And that is beautiful and that is normal, but that's not meant to be forever. And that intensity in the beginning of a relationship, that is chemistry. So it fading doesn't mean that the love is gone. It actually means that the love is evolving and going to a different stage. Real love doesn't stay as fireworks. It evolves into a warm, steady fire. So a relationship that looks like trust, safety, reliability, and partnership. And the danger happens when people enter relationships just for the high that happens in the beginning, just for the rush, the chase, the drama, the intensity. And when the relationship naturally falls into stability, they think that they have fallen out of love. So they leave and they repeat the same cycle over and over again, going into a new relationship and leaving when the butterflies and the intensity are gone. And they end up choosing chemistry over character. Because the love that lasts isn't the one that feels explosive. It is the one that feels safe enough to build a life inside. So always remember this. Fireworks are beautiful, but what makes homes warm are consistent flames. Myth number 6. You can change them if you love them enough. This myth has destroyed more relationships than infidelity. The belief that if you love someone just harder, support them more, sacrifice enough, you'll be able to change them to the picture of them you see in your own head. But love is not a transformational project. You can never love someone into becoming what you want them to be. Because real change only happens when the person chooses it for themselves. This myth quietly turns relationships into emotional construction sites. One partner becomes the fixer and the other becomes the project. And slowly, love turns into frustration. Because no matter how much effort you put in, the person you are trying to change didn't ask to be rebuilt. This myth also keeps people stuck in situations longer than they should be. They say they will change after marriage. They change when they feel secure. Years pass, but the change never comes because the motivation was never theirs. And the truth is, love is not about fixing. Love is about seeing clearly who they are and if you choose them to accept them. So you see who they are today, their values, their habits, their dreams, their expectations, and then asking yourself one honest question. Can I accept them the way they are right now or not? If the answer is no, then the solution is not trying harder to change them, but to choose differently. Because love without acceptance is control, and control eventually suffocates the connection. So I want you to always remember this. Relationships are not about renovating another human being. They are about choosing the right person, not for their potential or what they can be one day, but for who they are today. Myth number 7. A good relationship should be easy. Somewhere along the way, many of us observed the idea that if love is real, then it should feel somehow effortless. It should feel easy measy. That the right person will slide into your life smoothly with no tension, no arguments, no misunderstandings. And most importantly, no effort. And when things get difficult, we start wondering, maybe this is not meant to be. Maybe this is not the right person. But the truth is, every meaningful relationship requires effort. Not necessarily exhausting effort or suffering, but effort must be put into a relationship to bloom. The myth of effortless love is very dangerous because it teaches people to quit at the first sign of discomfort, at the first moment of a serious disagreement, the first moment where love feels like a choice rather than a rush. But depth is never built in ease alone. It is built in repair, in patience, and in learning each other over time. So, the question that you should be asking yourself in a relationship is not, is this relationship easy, but is this relationship worth the effort? Because the right relationship is not the one that is problem free, it is the one that both people are ready to put the effort in and invest in that relationship, where they both say, I'm willing to listen, I'm willing to grow, I'm willing to understand, I'm willing to stay present even when it feels uncomfortable. And that is what creates lasting love. And one thing I needed to know is effort doesn't mean trying to force something that doesn't fit. It means nurturing what matters. So, if you have ever left a relationship just because it felt hard, maybe it wasn't the wrong relationship, it was the wrong expectation. Love is not effortless, love is intentional. And the relationships that last are not necessarily the easiest ones, but the ones that are worth choosing over and over again. So, the confusion you feel in relationships is not because you are doing it wrong. It is because you have been following a script written by people who don't even know how real love looks like. And once you reject these 7 myths, you can finally start building relationships, not based on fantasy, but based on truth. And that is when everything changes. So let me know in the comments below which one of these 7 myths hit you the hardest. Just write down 1 through 7 so I know which one you resonated with the most. If this video gave you a new perspective on love, hit the subscribe button. I post a video every week to help you build relationships that feel safe, strong, and real. See you in the next video.